My friends, welcome to the first video of Chaos Zero Nightmare. We are in a kind of test period for the next couple of days, those of us that got, invited. And I want to go over the basics of the game, tell you about the different systems and things you'll be doing. This will be high level so you understand the mechanics of the game. And then we're going to go through a lot of videos to cover in depth about characters, about systems, about modes, deck building, all the different things, your pull rates. But today is all about the basics so you have a decent understanding of what you're getting into should you download this game. We do not have a release date yet. We're hoping in October just based on some stuff we saw in the Apple Store, but there's been no official announcements. So sit back, let's cover all this. Like and sub if you would like more Chaos Zero Nightmare videos to come. So I'm just going to go through this at a high level. First of all, this game is like many gacha games. You have an account rank, which they call a captain rank, and then you have character levels and ranks and things to progress your individual characters. So let's talk about account rank first. You are basically gated on how far you can push this game and what systems you open up by 10 level increments. So if you look at my captain here, I can get up to level 20, and then once I get to level 20, I have to do a promotion mission that will allow me to then unlock my next 10 levels and some more features within the game. So you're going to go through the typical gacha game scenario of play some missions, get to a 10 level, do an upgrade, play some new missions that open up, cycle through until what seems to be a cap of 60. So as far as I can see here, that's going to be the cap for characters as well. Given the amount of days we have the test, I don't know that I'm going to get past level 30. Some other people will probably push a lot harder than I can from a time perspective. But just so you know like how that works, friends lists are pretty common. I don't see anything on guild yet, and there's no PvP, by the way, at least not that they've announced at this point in time. Characters. Characters are going to come a couple from the story in the beginning, but mostly through a pull banner system. Again, this is pretty standard gacha stuff. I'll cover the rates and my feelings about that later, but I've already used it. You start off with a beginner banner that will guarantee you a 5-star after so many pulls, and it's at a discounted rate of 8 of these coins instead of 10. And I ended up getting 2 5-stars through my journey. That might just be luck. So you're going to start off kind of, going off to this beginner banner. This is your normal kind of standard banner. Again, a very typical thing. They do not have a limited banner present right now in the test period, but I would assume they're going to release new characters. What gacha game doesn't? You also have partners. Pretend partners are weapons. It's the best way I can explain it. They look like characters. They have their own actions and abilities that you use in combat, but truth be told, they're just basically weapons you attach to your characters. You also level these up like you would level a character. And so they're very similar, but you don't get to put them in a battle on their own. They have to attach to somebody. And then you have Eternal Moments. This basically makes your cards more flashy is what I understand. So I haven't dug into this yet. I don't have the items to be able to really get into this, but hopefully by the end of this, test period, I will. That's how you get your characters. As far as what you do with your characters besides fight, of course, this is all very common to gacha if you've done it before. You are going to level them. So let's pick someone I haven't leveled. So I can come in here, I can give him some materials, level up. He then gets level blocked at level 10. Unless I do a promotion, I'll go ahead and promote him for the heck of it. And now I've broken through another 10 levels. I can level them up again. You see the trend. And you get more stats, all the standard things that you get for leveling up. Nothing particularly crazy. I'll come back to cards. Partners, this is what I was talking about. These are those other things that look like characters. You want to match their type. So if I look at my character here, you're going to see he's like a fire, and he's this element here, which is hunter. So these are your class types. You have your pretty typical stuff. You've got your vanguard, which is like your tank. You've got different attack types. You've got controllers who kind of, put status ailments and things on the other characters. And then they have attributes, otherwise known as elements in other games, like your fire, your wind. Here they call it passion, void, instinct, and this is like a weakness mechanic. But when you assign a partner, you are going to want to pick a matching type because then you get a bonus effect. So if I didn't have the same type, I would not get this effect. You would just get some extra stats. So you would assign a partner to them, and now when I'm in battle, I'm getting these extra attributes, and they can do a move. It's like off on the side, I'll show you here in a bit. Save data, this is basically gear sets that you can unlock as you play the game. Potential is like an upgrade system. It has its own currency that you can farm out throughout the game, and then this gives you more stats, it gives you extra effects. A lot of min-maxing will be done there. And then what else? You also have with this manifest ego. This is where you drop your duplicates. And by dropping duplicates, again, you upgrade your characters. Remains to be seen from what I can tell if you have to get these from pulling only. It looks like there might be another way to get it, but I haven't unlocked the feature to know for sure. And this is basically the intro to characters. So again, just think about it like most gacha games. You're going to level them up. You'll do a breakthrough of sort. You'll level them again. You want duplicates as much as you can to power up your characters. You're probably going to have to focus down on characters basically to min-max them. I don't think there's going to be enough materials to spread this across 30 characters. So do, kind of think about who you want to invest in. We'll cover more details on characters in another video. So that's the basics of that. Then you have kind of your main mission types up here and Ark City. So Ark City, we're kind of working backwards here, but Ark City it's something I envision you doing for 5 minutes a day. You are time gated. Your things that kind of allow you to work in that mode refill on a timer. And so I've got 3 hours left before I can do anything else. But basically you go through and you'll find different characters and you want to raise their affinity. By raising their affinity, you get extra stats for that particular character. And so you do want to, again, pick the ones you're using and focus them down. But basically you can see that I don't have any currency left. I've already done this today to spend time together. So, there's not much I can do here. You can give them gifts if you have gifts. Like I'm going to go ahead and give her one of these. Boom, I just leveled up my affinity. So now, she gets more stats. I get a couple gems, life is grand. So this is one of the things you'll be doing to raise your characters. I didn't actually claim it. And so we'll back out of here. The other thing you can do is basically upgrade your base. So you've got a research facility. And again, by getting certain materials, which we'll cover later, you can give yourself more benefits in combat. You can give yourself more benefits in this base. You can unlock more spaces to meet your characters and have those affinity conversations. And I see this taking a while just because of how much it costs to max all these different skills or trees. But this is probably something you do over the course of months, would be my guess. Again, we'll cover that in depth later. You also have a couple diners. Garden Cafe basically gives you the option to refill stamina instantly or get a pot that you can use later. And you have a max on how many you can hold. And you get to do this once a day. So you just pop in, you get yourself some free stamina. Good stuff. Starshine Diner, this will give you buffs for a couple of rounds of fights. So you'll want to come in here before your big battles, maybe grab yourself a meal, get yourself some defense or whatever you want to get. And they cost very little of this currency. It's just a good way to give yourself some stat buffs before you go into battle. What did we miss? The big thing here is going to be policies. This whole mode is centered around kind of improving the state of your city here. And you'll get a couple policies and the policies will give you decisions. So these refill again, like you'll see, I'll get more in 3 hours. So it might say something like, hey, you can get 5 happiness and 10 currency. Or, hey, you can get, 10 currency and 6, administrative work, but you lose 2 economic activity. So basically they're very generic options, but you get to pick if you want to get more points at the expense of another, section, or just average points but you don't lose any points. And you want to rank this up over time to open up different goals, and this just helps you to level up this whole mode more or less. And then finally you have No Shop. This is where you spend that currency that you get. I've already used it today to get things like gifts, or you can get more policies. That's where I used it on earlier. You can get some leveling materials, different things. You'll have to kind of pick, and I'll do videos on what I think are the best things to target. And then the Epione Center, however you say that. This is where in battle, you go through a mechanic where someone can get traumatized, which is kind of messed up. And you can come in here and give them counseling. And that's increases their affinity and they get to keep what they got in the last battle. Or you can delete their memories, which is instant. But then you lose whatever you got in the last battle. Not necessarily all of your XP, but you can save their data and you would lose equipment you got, things like that. So there's definitely benefit to counseling, but this is also limited. Hopefully you're not going into trauma too often to where that's a problem, but it is a main mechanic of the game. So that's the Ark City. Simulation is very simply going to be where you use your stamina. So this is where you get materials. So growth is going to be character XP. Combatant is breakthrough materials. Partners is leveling your partners that you attach to your characters. potential was that kind of skill tree I was showing you. Memory fragments I can't unlock, and I don't think I can get high enough in the next 2 days to unlock this. But this is where I'm guessing that you can unlock maybe small shards to eventually get duplicates. I'm sure it would take a while. It's probably limited, but I'm guessing that's what that is, and I have no idea what challenge is. So if you know, let me know. So you basically come in here, you run your stamina, you have a battle, etc. The chaos I'll come back to mission is neat. This is your main story, and it's broken out 2 ways. Battle missions are pretty basic. I've auto-battled through all these, very underleveled so far. And you just go through, you want to do it within so many turns, and by doing that you get all the rewards, you get your 3 stars, and it gets gated by your captain level. So I can't get a promotion until I reach captain level 20, and then I'll open up the next set of these. You can spend 5 minutes auto-battling this and be done with it. It's super fast. They have not unlocked hard mode yet. That says it's coming later. And then story is story. It's basically almost all of these are like a visual novel. So I'll just kind of show you what it looks like, but it's all text. There's sometimes like minor mini like anime scenes or whatever, but it's mostly stuff like this. You cannot skip it the first time. You can fast forward by holding this button out, which I'm doing. And then after you've seen it once, you can skip it. So, I mean, I guess if you're going back to watch like I just did, that'd be about the only reason you would do that. But you're going to get your, your promotion materials, your captain rank materials. So you still want to do this, if nothing else, to get through it. And then you eventually get these big, kind of observations. And this is a pretty beefy mode. So this is where you will go in and do like the real battles. So in here, you set your team. It does matter. It seems like the person in the front takes the most damage, therefore can get into trauma the fastest. But basically, I can come in here, I'll enter this zone or whatever. I'm going to skip through the story. I don't want to spoil it. So give me a second here. But then you get into the roguelike mode, and there's 2 places this happens. I'll show you the other one in a minute. And in the roguelike mode, you're picking your path around a map. And by doing so, you're choosing, do I want to fight? Do I want to go to a campfire and save? And it's pretty beefy. So like, look at this one I have here. So I'm not sure how many stages this is, but it's a lot. And you're saying like, if I'm here, I can go up or to the right or whatever. And so there's different things you can do. The icons are basically normal battles. You've got an elite battle down here. Unknown could be anything. You've got rest areas, which is where you can do a little bit of healing and training. The shop is where you can buy like gear for your characters. Supply area is same thing. You can get some gear and stuff. Sometimes these question marks are like little mini stories, and you have to make choices in the story of, hey, I want to listen to this dialogue, but then I might get an item, or I'm going to fight them. Like it's completely random. I haven't seen them all. I'm sure I've only seen 2 or 3 of them, but you don't know what you're going to get. Again, campfires like healing and stuff. And then there have been a couple places where I've been able to save in the other mode. I'm hoping that's the case here, because sometimes you just don't have the time to run this whole map. So I will do a playthrough of this in another video so you can see the whole thing. And that will kind of give us a little bit more like detailed information on where you can save. But so far it's been really fun. You don't get to auto battle, so you do have to think about your deck strategy here. And I will say that I was trying to play this under leveled, and one of the elites killed me today. So I had to restart the whole thing. So pretty interesting. It was a good time though. So we'll back out of this one. And that will lead us to our final mode. And I saved this for last for 2 reasons. One is because it's basically the same thing you just saw. And 2 is because I think it's the coolest mode. This is where I've envisioned myself spending the most time. And in here, you have these different, chaos areas, basically planets. And you explore them by that same map that I just showed you a second ago. And when you get to certain places, you can save. And that's what I did yesterday on stream. So same kind of map I just showed you. You get to pick if I want to battle, or maybe this one could be a question mark, whatever. You get gear and stuff while you're going through it, which if you beat the whole thing, you can save as a loadout for your character. So you do want to complete it. And ultimately, it's the harder part. So in here, you eventually get to increase like your difficulty and things. And you can really kind of challenge yourself within this mode with the penalty of potentially failing the whole thing. So it's an interesting one. I think this is where most of the time will be spent, outside of like just trying to progress your captain ranks through like dailies or whatever. So this is the mode I think has got the most potential. And then that's, basically it. So the last thing I want to leave you with is I'm going to show you a battle. I want you to see what it's like. And so let's just pick somebody to level up. This dude looks cool. So let's get him to where he needs some breakthrough material. So now I can go in here. I'm just going to have it bring me to the simulation so I don't have to find it. And you know what? We'll just use a stamina pot. I don't really care. It's fine. And here we go. So battles. I love the battle system. I love the aesthetics of it. Let me get it off of auto. I like the way that it flows. So let me introduce you briefly to what you're looking at. We'll cover really deeper mechanics later. You have your deck of cards. You have your discard pile. You also can undo your last card for a point. And as you unlock in the Ark City, you can get more of these different effects. So I haven't gotten that far yet, obviously. On the left, you can see here, this is one of my partners. He's ready for an attack. So I can take him and I can say, yeah, go attack this dude. Bam, right? And so now I've used that partner skill. These are things that have to charge up. So you do have to consider, do I want to save for this person to do their all-out attack? Or do I want to use this, less expensive one that's less powerful? You have only so many actions per turn. So right now I've got 3. I can use this and this. I could use 3 of these, whatever. But once I'm out, I have to hit the check mark and then I discard any cards I have not used. So they're gone. Well, if you run fully out or reshuffle, but like for all intents and purposes, they're gone. On the top, I've got my health, and then this is a bar that will go purple. This is the trauma mechanic. So as I take damage, as certain effects occur, I build trauma. If it gets all the way up, my character will basically go crazy. They'll be unusable until I play 5 cards that are designated to them, and they're just to break their trauma. When they come out of trauma, their super move is basically 1 or 2 points. I forget how many, but it's like super cheap, or maybe it's even free. And so you get a combat benefit, but then you have to go to the trauma center and do the counseling with them that I was showing you earlier, or delete their memories. So there's goods and bads, there's penalties for it. It seems like you don't really want to get the trauma. And then if they have a unique mechanic, it's this little icon underneath their bar. So like she has a mechanic, they both have mechanics. On the enemy side, you have how many actions before they go. So after I play 4 more cards, he's going to attack me. Nothing I can do. Well, actually, he's going to put a shield on is what that means. Same thing. This one, after 3, he's going to put a shield up. If there was a sword, it means they're going to attack, or they'll have different icons, signifying they're going to do something. They also have like a stagger bar. If you get through this, you basically do more damage. And then this red piece here, this is their elemental affinity. So you'll see it on my cards on the bottom. If I were to use this card here, you see how it's flashing? That means that I'm going to do additional, damage, effect, whatever, because I'm hitting the red affinity. If I were to pick somebody else, well, actually I don't even have another attack. Well, her attack is busted, so she would just one-shot him. But normally, if it's like an attack for the same attack, you wouldn't do as much damage unless you're hitting affinity. And then like this one here is like a support card for myself. So your whole strategy is around what cards are in front of you, what are the best options for you at that particular moment. And of course, you want to not die. If you lose your health bar, everybody goes into trauma and your next hit will kill your characters. So that's the super basics. I absolutely love this. I'm going to throw this on auto so you can see it play out. In one of the next videos I do, I think we'll talk about more in depth about the cards, your Unity cards versus your basic cards. Your cards can go into what's called epiphanies, which is like they'll flash with a little light and then they can transform the card into something else. So that's like a whole nother layer of strategy. And then when it transforms, you have an option of what you transform it into. So I think there's a lot of depth that you're going to find in this card system. And from what I saw in the developer interviews, I guess what they're calling a season, they're going to try to rebalance things. So that way you don't just one time build Hugo over here and then he's your best character for the rest of the time because you found some ridiculous card combination and then nothing can ever beat you. So it sounds like they want this to go longer term and kind of readdress that over time. And I think that's really cool. I think it will bring, freshness to the game and not this typical, you get one overpowered character and they're the quote unquote meta. And if you didn't pull them, you're SOL, right? So yeah, this is like my favorite move, by the way. She just drops a flippin' cyber whale on people. That's her ultimate move, by the way. So that's a basic battle. Again, you cannot do that auto battle in those other 2 modes. You have to actually strategize yourself, which I think is really cool. That's more or less what I wanted to show you today. Again, super high level basics. I didn't want to make this a 9-hour video. tell me what you want to see next. I already know what I'm going to film. So, but I want to see if, you know, if you're more interested in the pull rates, tell me. If you're more interested in the characters, if you want to see me play out like the chaos modes, I'm going to be filming all of this, but I can try to release it more in an order that you're interested in. So drop in the comments, what do you want me to go in depth on? I will be in the background filming all sorts of stuff. I'm going to be getting the skill cards. I'm going to be getting all the details on them, all the epiphanies. I'm going to have some information that I can share. And my friends, this Saturday, I will actually be streaming this game. So check my channel. I will have the link up soon. And until that live stream or our next video, please take care of yourselves.